right. Welcome to episode 85 of the Slip and Week podcast. My guest this week, very special guest, heavyweight contender Jonnie Rice, coming off a win over Guido Vianello. Jonnie, thank you for your time today, bro.
Yo, man, thank you for having me, man. You feel me? Very happy to be a part of this, and I'm glad that we can get a little discussion in.
Do me a favor real quick. A lot of people watching this show, hardcore fans, probably know who you are, but just introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are, where you're from, accolades, accomplishments, all that.
All right, for sure. Well, I'm Jonnie Rice. Been boxing about 8 years now. You know what I'm saying? Little amateurs included as well. You know, I guess you would consider me a journeyman right now or a gatekeeper. You know, I'm not undefeated. I got like 6 losses. But, you know, as a heavyweight, I feel like all you got to do is keep going and you're going to get your title shot and you can become world champion and win. So that's what I'm doing right now. Just coming off 3 back-to-back wins over undefeated fighters. And, you know, we're going to keep it going. So, you know, definitely continue to watch me on this journey. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to the top.
So that kind of segues me perfect into a question that I have for you, which is after 3 fights like the fights you've had, do you still view yourself in that gatekeeper position, or do you believe that like you're a legitimate contender at this point?
I mean, it's definitely it's kind of the same right now. But more of a gatekeeper, honestly, if I had to be real. I do believe I am a contender, but on paper, I am a gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? If you think you're going to the next level, you got to get through me. And in the same time, I'm gonna continue to prove that I'm the real contender. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm here to do. And it's gonna take a lot more work. It's gonna take a lot more dedication. And that is something that I have taken accountability for. And you will see a different Jonnie Rice the next time I fight. Not sure when that'll be, as you can see, but we're gonna be ready.
Talk to me a little bit about starting boxing that late. I don't think I realized that you had only been fighting for 8 years. What were you doing before that, and what was kind of the motivating force that kind of pushed you in this direction?
Well, before boxing, I was playing basketball my whole life. Even played college basketball. Then you know, could have went overseas, but decided not to go overseas. Then I decided to switch to football. Okay, football is where I got noticed by Michael King of All American Heavyweights, who had the vision of bringing, you know, heavyweight boxing back to the United States. And they went to go get these athletes that, you know, we weren't boxers, we were playing basketball and football, and they wanted us to give boxing a try, which is what I did. You know, shout out to Prince Charles Martin, who became heavyweight champion and even fought Anthony Joshua afterwards. You guys might remember that fight, but, you know, Prince Charles Martin came from that All-American heavyweight program. So Michael King, rest in peace, did achieve his dream of bringing the heavyweight titles back to the USA. I hope to also accomplish that. I'm still going as well.
So you were already an exceptional athlete otherwise?
I wouldn't say exceptional, but I was definitely an athlete. You know what I mean? Still trying to be exceptional, definitely.
Well, I mean, compared to the average person, I would say a college basketball player is an exceptional athlete.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
So I guess describe obviously congratulations on beating Vianello. It's a great fucking win, dude. Describe to me the first couple of rounds, because it seemed like in the 6th round, obviously there was the punch that cut him, but it seemed like you found your range and you were landing a little more consistently. What was going on for you in that first 4 or 5 rounds? What were you looking for from him? Just describe your process.
Well, I mean, honestly, going into the fight, everyone knew that, you know, Guido is in extremely great shape. He's a high volume puncher. This is something that's very easy to see. And originally the game plan was to try to keep up with that volume by, you know, staying basic and fundamental, using the jab. That wasn't working. That it just wasn't working. He was a lot more active than I thought, and he was sustaining it well. Even in the 6th round, you could see he was still bouncing on his feet. He had no signs of slowing down. So, but up until that point, I just kept saying, okay, well, he's attacking me, but he's not landing clean punches. He's landing punches. He's definitely racking up the rounds, which is something that I did not want to happen. So I had to just completely say, okay, he's winning rounds. We got to find a way to land our shot. He's not landing really good shots. He is still landing. You got to be very careful. but we gonna have to really look to counterpunch and make the counterpunches count, not just try to throw back with him. So that's really what the game plan for me mentally started to become after seeing how active he was, how in great shape he was, and the fact that we were still making a miss. We're not making them pay, but we were making a miss. So we just had to keep that going, keep making a miss, and eventually we're going to make them pay. And when we make them pay, we're going to make them pay immensely.
When you landed that shot, did you know you busted his eye open, like in that moment?
Well, obviously, I knew it was a good shot. I definitely knew that was a good shot. Then I started to see the blood. Okay. So I'm like, okay, I see the blood. I didn't think they were gonna stop it. Don't get me wrong. That was not in my mindset at all. It was just I'm starting to see the blood. Okay. Wanted to attack him. But again, Guido is a very skilled fighter. You can't attack a guy like him the wrong way. You will leave yourself open to get countered. And he does have a lot of speed, which is going to lead to power. And he punches in combinations. So I couldn't attack yet, which is why you saw me being so patient. So that round got away from me. Now we coming in round 7, and I'm seeing it bleeding even more. And now I'm thinking, okay, this guy can't see me no more. Again, never thought they were gonna stop the fight. I'm like, this guy can't see me. I'm about to really start attacking this guy, of course, from the right side. And that's what I was thinking in my head.
You've been in with some of the top guys at heavyweight. As far as just like talent and whatever, where does he stack up in your mind with some of the guys
Oh,
you've been with?
he's right up there. He's right up there as far as like, he really, even Tyson Fury said that he thought Guido is a future heavyweight champion. With that type of work ethic, with that type of volume punching, with that type of, what I'm saying? Because let's go back to when he got the draw. When he got that draw against Kingsley eBay, that was all heart. He was losing that fight. He didn't lose because he kept fighting hard, and eBay kind of, stayed where he was. Guido rallied back to get that draw. So I knew going into that fight that if you don't get him out of there, he's going to keep coming. He's not going to go downward. His energy is going to keep coming strong. So that's what makes me believe that he is at the top level of competitors in the boxing world. And Tyson Fury said it himself. You don't even have to take it from me.
Who are they mentioned it on the telecast and whatever, but who are some of the guys that you've gotten to spar with? And also how were you getting in gyms with other top guys having started, what I'm saying, a little later?
Well, I moved. First of all, I relocated to Las Vegas because being in LA, which is where I originally started boxing, you the sparring was few and far in between. I did get to spar great guys like Andy Ruiz Jr. I got to spar Tyson Fury for the first time in LA, but it was so few and far in between that your skills never really developed. So I said, you know what, or you have to travel an hour with traffic to go and spar someone like Andy down in Norwalk, freaking California, and I'm in West LA. So I literally moved to Las Vegas. Now here in Las Vegas, I'm sparring tons of great guys. First time I sparred, Luis Ortiz was out here. You know what I'm saying? Who else have I sparred? The good names as far as moving here. But this past year is when I really was sparring constantly because I was out of the ring. So I'm sparring Lawrence Okoli all the way from London. He come this town. Freaking Jerry Anderson will come in from Houston, and he's just incredible. Okay, definitely learned a lot from him. Literally lost 5 pounds in one sparring session with him. That's how active that guy is and how great a fighter he is, to be honest with you. Sparring Michael Hunter all the time. I was sparring, who's another big name that I was sparring with that came to town? Effie Ajagba. Effie Ajagba will come to town multiple times during this year. So I'm working with him. I was actually working with him when I got the call to spar Guido. I didn't have a fight, but I knew that I need to work with a guy like him who is at the top if I want to get to that level. Joe Joyce is a guy I would spar frequently when he would come to town. See, he fought Christian Hammer, the first time he was supposed to fight Joseph Parker, that didn't happen. I was in that camp for both times. So I'm sitting here getting the best work with top 5 guys constantly and constantly doing my best to learn from that. But that's because I moved to Las Vegas.
Who's the best? Who's the best guy you've been in with?
Honestly, they're all good. They really have different strengths to where I can't say who's the best. I can really say they're all extremely good and they're all sharpening their skills tremendously. And we're going to have to see when they fight each other. That's what I'm waiting to see. When they fight each other is the real vision of what will happen, because sometimes I would spar and they will be working on different things, right? So when
Right.
you're sparring, your job is not to just go into the ring and just say, "Oh, I'm about to just beat up everybody in sparring" without getting better. You have certain things that you need to work on to achieve for you to be fight ready. That's the whole reason you sparring. You're not sparring just to have a tough man contest. You one day you may be just working on your lead right hand, or one day you may just be working on blocking punches. One day you may just work on countering. You're constantly doing skill development. So there's no way for me to say who's the best I've sparred, because they're all working on different parts of their game to continue to win. You got to check their record to see what they're doing, and most of them are undefeated. Obviously, Joe Joyce, Jared Anderson, Lawrence Okoli, Michael Hunter only has one loss to Usyk. Obviously, Efe Ajagba only has one loss to Frank Sanchez. But now they're working on different aspects of their boxing game, and I'm right there with them.
Haven't been in there with Tyson Fury. What is it about him that makes him so tricky? Obviously, watching him, he's big and he's got good feet and whatever, but haven't seen it in person. What's like that thing that makes him different?
The biggest thing that makes him different, obviously, we already covered that his size. You
Right.
moving like that big is incredible. But one thing that makes him so different is he can fight you in different ways. He doesn't have just one style to him. He can fight inside. He can even go left hand, southpaw. He can freaking fight you at long range if he feels like he can fight you all different ways. So if you're not extremely fundamental, he's gonna pick you apart. And when he change, some people when they change, you know, from orthodox to southpaw, they have to do it without punching. He can do it while punching still. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
he's extremely fundamental, got great balance along with the natural gifts of his size. And again, quick feet. And again, it doesn't matter where he is in the boxing ring, he feels at home. And so that's what really makes him special. So at the end of the day, you're not going to even have a chance to beat him if you don't have extreme fundamentals and extreme skills and being in super good shape, period. So it's just amazing to work with a guy like that, because it's definitely going to motivate you to realize how hard you really got to go, how much more deeper in your dedication and your journey you have to get to. And that's what I'm dealing with right now.
What do you think? Because I mean, a lot of guys, right, if they start late, there's something that they do exceptionally well that kind of helps them move faster than the average fighter. What do you think is that X factor for you?
Well, you're going to have to draw from your past experiences. There's a lot of guys, like I said, even Deontay Wilder, who started boxing late, but his explosiveness from when he played basketball plays a big factor in boxing. His great footwork. Some people just say, "Oh, Deontay can't box," but you look at his footwork. Look at the way he sets up his right hand. That is boxing. He sets up his right hand better than, or I can't say better, but definitely on the level of a Klitschko. He may not use the jab as much, but the way he sets it up, it's gonna land. You see what I'm saying? So you have to take from your past experiences. You have to take from where you grew up in boxing. And if you came from a basketball standpoint, your feet better be working with your hands. So no matter, let's say you come from a different sport like skiing or something like that, right? You have to have extreme balance from skiing, right? So you better bring that great balance into the boxing game. That's how you catch up. You bring your physical attributes or characteristics that you have from the prior things you did in life and you put it into that boxing ring, and that's what develops your style. And of course, styles make fights.
You're basically coming off, I would say, three of your best wins, three of your best fights. Is there something that's been different for you since the coffee fights, or do you feel like you're just like developing as a fighter, or has something changed that you're consciously?
We're developing as a fighter. Obviously, consciously, you have to, hold yourself more accountable. Get rid of any excuse that you really want to make, or constantly, you know, evaluate yourself daily. You know what I mean? Weekly evaluations. Hey, did I accomplish what I need to accomplish this week to feel like I took a step forward, or did I take a few steps back? You know what I mean? And if you're not moving forward,
Right.
you're moving backwards. There's really no such thing as maintaining. You know what I mean? You got to constantly, even if it's a smaller step, you got to constantly move forward. You can't keep repeating, because then you'll go into a cycle. But one week I'm training super good. This week I'm, not training so well. Or, you got to constantly be inching your way up. So the mentality and the self accountability is the real key right now. And then, of course, just dedicating yourself and constantly putting yourself in a position to develop is where I am right now.
What kinds of fights and opponents are you looking for now?
I'm looking for the biggest paydays because I am coming to win. First of all, we know that. And I'm looking for, hey, more undefeated fighters, man. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I am 35. We got to make a big noise. We got to make a big push. That means I need to fight the biggest fights, get paid the most amount of money, and win these big fights. Fighting these fights is not enough. Winning these fights, getting paid the top dollars, no matter where we fight at. I don't care. I need to win, and winning starts with the training. That's where it starts: mental and physical preparation to win these fights. You know who the top guys are. We all know who they are. We the Tyson Furies, the Anthony Joshua's, the Usyks. We know who they are. The Deontay Wilders. But what are we going to do to beat them? Are you just walking around content with being at the bottom, or are you really going to just constantly every day? It's a long ways journey. Are you really going to make an effort every day you wake up to progress to their level, which won't happen overnight? But if you're constantly progressing, you'll get there.
One of the other things I wanted to ask you too, because I feel like you have kind of a unique perspective on this, having fought both Stephen Shaw and Efe Ajagba. What was your expectation of that fight coming in, and then also what's like your reaction to how the fight played out?
That's a good question right there. Okay. First of all, I have not watched the fight yet. I am looking to watch it tonight. I did hear about the decision where Effie won, and I did see that Stephen Shaw felt like he won. So I can't wait to watch that fight. And again, like I said, I was actually sparring with Effie. Okay, and biggest thing I saw that Effie was doing very well from training was that jab felt like a right hand, not a Deontay Wilder right hand, but it felt like a right hand. Okay, and I was like, wow, you really can't stand in front of him. And if you watch Frank Sanchez, he never stood in front of Effie. He just, box, stick, and move. So, which was a smart way to fight. Now, I did see some of the highlights, and I saw Stephen Shaw was a little bit in front of Effie a lot. And that, of course, will give Effie the edge. If you're in front of him, he's going to punch you. That's just what he does. If you're moving, he may not punch you as much, but he's going to punch if you stand in front of him. But Stephen Shaw is an incredible boxer, which is what everyone knows. He is a great boxer. So for me, it was a 50-50 fight immediately, because you do got this puncher who has developed a great jab, and you have Stephen Shaw with that St. Louis great boxing style, great pedigree. And it was really 50-50 for me. I had no clue who was going to win. And again, I even heard it was a super close fight. So I'm looking forward to watching it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I scored at a draw. I would have been cool with that call. You know what I mean? That was actually kind of what I was expecting, because in some ways there wasn't like really enough offensively to separate them in a lot of the rounds. So I'm thinking, how could this be anything other than a draw? But I was just, yeah, it was an interesting matchup. I think everybody expected like a little bit more, but at the end of the day, I think it's like a signature win for Efe.
I agree. Whoever won that fight was definitely going to take it to the next level. I was even hearing that, it was definitely a deciding factor for those two. But even after a fight like that, like you said, that was so close, much considered a draw, which again, I haven't watched it, but I'm definitely hearing that it was that close. Uh, those two are definitely going to go on to continue to climb the ranks. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and judging from what a lot of people said about the fight, they expected more excitement. I got to put that into my training motivation because I do want to be that exciting fighter that people want to see. I do want to do that, and in order for me to do that, it is going to take and I worked very hard for this fight to the point where my body was exhausted. And it's like, you're going to have to do that every day, not just 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I am right now, just taking the motivation and the inspiration, even from the F.Ed Jogba and Steven Shaw fight, being on ESPN where everybody can see you boxing and people want to see a show, not just, heavyweights, not being, what I'm saying, active. So that's what I'm taking from this whole experience.
For you personally, is that like a tactical shift or like a mentality shift?
Well, it's going to be a training shift. It's going to be a training shift. You're going to have to be, more explosive. You're going to have to train a little different because, a lot of times heavyweights train slow, or we constantly working on the same things, and it's not fast. It's more like a medium pace. So sometimes in the fight when you get a little tired, even that pace starts to slow down. So it's really going to be just an intensity shift. The intensity has to increase for me to do the things that I'm wanting to do when I get in that boxing ring.
Did you feel prepared to do that for this fight, or was it just more so that Guido's like kind of a shifty defensive fighter?
Well, I felt prepared to win and adjust. That's how I felt. Obviously, he was a lot more active than I thought he was going to be. That's a fact. But I felt like I was prepared to adjust. So, again, it's a 10-round fight. We're in round 6, and I'm sitting there like, okay, we're going to have to really just basically unload very soon. Like, so let's say we'd have got to round 8, and this is just all let's say because it didn't get to round 8. In my head, I was prepared to just go all out 8, 9, 10. We're talking about, I already told myself, look, they're going to have to carry me out the ring because I'm going to unload everything I have these last 3 rounds. Again, not the smartest tactical way to fight, but I told myself they're going to have to carry me out the ring due to exhaustion. The way I'm going to leave it all in this ring, if it gets to what we call that the championship rounds, okay, and that's what my mindset was for sure.
Was there anything different sparring Guido than fighting Guido?
I mean, well, yeah, the biggest difference was you can't afford to make mistakes. Now in sparring, you're trying different things. And even in sparring, like I said, the speed was always there. The activity was there. He was just more active in the fight. He had more activity in the fight. And I knew one thing, keep my right hand up because he's going, he throws very sneaky hooks. He has a great jab. And from film study, he has a very good lead right hand. I don't know if you saw that, but even in the fight, he threw one of those. I was prepared for that because he didn't hit me with no lead right hand in sparring. That was from film study. And the uppercut he did hit me with, I did see that in film. So I didn't see it coming, but I was kind of braced for it mentally because I knew that he had that in his arsenal. And it did work. You see what I'm saying? But it didn't catch me by surprise. You see what I'm saying? But that lead right hand, I never saw that in sparring, but I did see it on film because you got to have film study. Like I said, no matter if you play college football or basketball, we all have film study twice a week, right? So I'm used to studying boxing film, and so yeah, he was just more active and a higher volume puncher than sparring. So he's actually better in the fight than in the sparring.
What's your take on fighters that never watch film on a guy because they're like, oh, the guy could do something different, da da da.
I said that's up to them. If they don't want to watch film, hey, that's your training regimen. I'm gonna watch film because again, I have to take from my prior experiences of being a basketball player or a football player. We did film study. We break guys down. We would have hour-long film study sessions, and you better not go to sleep in that film session or you getting cursed out by the coach. You know what I'm saying? So I study film. Whatever they do, hey, do what works for you. But I did see that uppercut in on film. It landed on that guy. I can't remember who I was watching, and it definitely landed on me. And I do feel like if I had not known about it, it might have did more damage. But when you kind of know, hey, oh wow, that's the shot I expected from him. It did land, but it didn't surprise me. You see what I'm saying? It's different when you get hit by a shot you never even thought was coming. That's going to be way more damaging. And the lead right, oh, he got great footwork. I did see that. That ain't get me, but I did see that on film. So hey, just give yourself as much edge as possible. Is what I say.
I guess the last thing I want to ask you before we wrap this one up, obviously the fight at heavyweight that everybody's kind of talking about is Fury versus Usyk. Everybody's hoping this fight gets made, including me. How do you see that one playing out?
I mean, two undefeated fighters. Uh, Again, you can't say who's going to win that fight. We can only look at statistically. Tyson Fury is 6'8", 6'9", very great size, and knows how to use his weight. He knows how to lean. He knows how to punch you. He knows how to do it all. Okay, Usyk definitely. He's a smaller guy, but he knows how to use his strengths to attack in and out. He knows how to be very tactical. So I don't feel like Tyson Fury will ever really be able to hold on to him because when you go to hold, again, I've sparred Usyk before. He knows how to maneuver out of your hold. You see what I'm saying? So he's not going to even let you grab him. He's going to be away from you or in and out. Or when we saw him how he fought Joshua, who's a bigger, stronger guy, one of the biggest and strongest heavyweights in the division, up there with the strength of Tyson Fury, probably more stronger than Tyson Fury. Based on how AJ looks. So he's not what's the word I'm looking for? He's used to fighting bigger guys. So you're looking at two very tactical fighters who are winners. They're undefeated. You got to give them a 50-50 split and just recognize their strengths for what it is. Tyson Fury is bigger and stronger. Usyk is faster. Usyk is very tactical. Tyson Fury is very tactical. These guys are both going to use their strengths to their advantages and work on whatever weaknesses that they have and try to expose one another. So I'm excited. I hope the fight does happen. I can't wait for it to happen. And here we are right now, waiting for it in anticipation. But you got to give them both a fair shake.
I keep going back and forth with it, bro, because I'm like, I could see the fight where it's, he's just a little, where Fury's just a little too big. He leans on him, he pushes him around like he did with Wilder. And then there's another version of the fight that I see where he can't really pin Usyk down, and Usyk is able to kind of pop in and out with that, with all that like Eastern European drop step thing. I don't know, man. It's a great fight. I guess that's why they should make the fight, right?
Exactly right. And what you just said was literally two different ways the fight could go. We don't know which way it's going to go, but it could go either one of those ways and even in between. So, but I definitely give Usyk the benefit of the doubt that he is not going to allow Fury to lean on him. We saw when Fury leaned on Wilder, that did give him the edge. Because in the first Wilder Fury fight, it wasn't much leaning. Wilder was moving a little bit too much for him to get the lean. Second fight is when the real tactic of the holding and leaning and holding just enough before the ref to take a point and let you go. So we saw those tactics, and in round three, the fight three was just incredible. I actually studied that fight a lot for this fight when I didn't want to watch Guido. I don't want to think about the fight. I was actually watching that action-packed fight of Fury versus Wilder 3, which was just outstanding. But yeah, I don't think Usyk has seen the fight too. He's not going to allow Fury to hold him. I don't see him letting that happen because
I
you
don't
definitely
either.
playing in Fury's hand.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, right, is it's like you said, Fury doesn't have only one approach. The first Wilder fight, he's almost exclusively back foot because common sense would say, oh, you want to box the puncher. But then he realized I'm also bigger and stronger. So if I muscle him around, he's not going to be able to, use his power. And then was able to execute that almost perfectly. So he's a super diverse offense, as is Usyk. I'm excited about that one.
Man, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. very versatile. Both fighters are very versatile with a strong will to win. It's going to be a 50-50 fight, and we're looking forward to it. Not sure when it's going to happen. I'm even hearing Bob Arum thinking that it's not a big money fight, even though it's a big name fight. You know what I mean? But that's what I heard. I got to go back and do some more digging on that.
Not a
But
little money fight.
it's not a little money fight, but he's saying it's not a big money fight. So it's somewhere in between there. We can stack you can stack the undercard to make it a big money fight. So, like I said, it's definitely a fight we need. Undisputed heavyweight champion has not been around since Lennox Lewis. That was the last undisputed heavyweight champion. The
Was
Klitschko
Klitschko,
brothers,
was Vladimir was never undisputed?
they never fought each other. See, the brothers had the
Right.
belts, but they made their mama promise they would never fight each other. So they never fought each other. And then Vladimir Klitschko was still a champion when Vitali vacated his belt, and that's what Deontay Wilder eventually became WBC champion, and Vladimir Klitschko still the champion, and then he eventually lost to Tyson Fury. So with that being said, haven't had an undisputed champion since Lennox Lewis.
Well, listen, champ, I really appreciate your time. This has been a great episode. Appreciate your time and all your insights. Is there anybody, anything, anyone that you want to shout out before we finish this one up?
Oh man, I just really want to shout out the guys that I've been training with this past year. Boxing's a cold game. Your friends, your training buddies, eventually they become your enemies or for that night. But at the end of the day, we all want the best for each other, and that's feeding our families, being healthy, and making the world a better place. So shout out to all the guys I worked with this past year. Too many to name, but you know who y'all is. Thank y'all. Let's stay strong. Let's stay healthy. Let's stay grateful.